Hello everyone, it's Jenifer Miller of Bella Rain Jewelry Company for Jesse James Beads. We are going to be making a multi-strand bracelet using some of the beads, strands, and components from the Modern Bohemian Magical Mystery Bead Box for the month of May. I'm going to use bits and pieces from the two bead mixes and these two bead strands. In addition to the beads and the components here, you're going to want to have a toggle or any type of closure, and I have some wire guardians and some crimp tubes. I have some bronze color 7-strand Bead-A-Lon beading wire and one of the Bead-A-Lon variety packs, the findings packs, and this is in antique bronze. So let's get started. For the first strand, I used some of the elongated bicones and the silver spacers from the free spare bead mix. The second strand is mostly from the Hello Sunshine strand, along with some of the rondelles, the wood beads, and some of the gold spacer beads from the mix. Now it's time to string. The first thing I want to do is pick up my 2x2 crimp tube, my wire guardian, and your wire guardians are optional. I like to use them because then it helps protect the wire as it's going to be up against some metal findings. Then there's two little, almost looks like little crimp tubes, and that's what holds them together. Then come back down through your crimp tube and make sure your wires are not crossing. I'm going to come in with my standard crimping pliers and put my crimping pliers over the crimp in the back well and give it a little bit of a squeeze. When I do that, it takes the two sides, makes it like a taco, and separates the two wires. Then I'm going to come in with the front notch. There's two notches, and I'm going to give it a squeeze, and now that brings that together. Go ahead and give it the tug test, and if it is not going anywhere, then you are done. Since this bead is long, I will go ahead and just insert my wire, and it's not going to be exposed. And before I do anything, I just want to make sure that I have a bead spacer. I want to make sure that my pattern is correct. Then what I want to do is grab my crimp tube, grab my wire guardian, insert my wire through one side of the wire guardian, bring that piece back through over onto the other side of the wire guardian for the second little tube. So once you get that back through, go ahead and bring that all the way down. Now you'll notice that I have my bracelet, I have it curved. This is how it's going to sit on your wrist. I don't have it out straight because I want to allow movement, and I want the bracelet to be able to move. So we'll pass that through. I'm going to go ahead and pull that tightly. And since I have my bracelet already rounded, I know that I'm not going to be, it's not going to be too tight. I'm going to add my standard crimping plier to the back well, give it a squeeze, and then go into the front well to finish it off. Once I am done, I'm going to give it a tug test, and it's not moving anywhere. And I'm going to come in with my cutters and trim off that end. Now I'm going to move on to the second strand. So when I come back and after I have my beads all strung up, I notice that this other strand is a little long. So if I take out one of the rondelles and the spacers, that will work out pretty well. So I'll just need to remember to do that on this side. So what I do is I leave the beads out. I don't put them away. I leave them out. And I'm going to grab my 2x2 crimp tube. I'm going to grab my wire guardian. I'm going to pass this through the other side. Bring that wire back through the 2x2 crimp tube. Bring it up to the top. This side, I don't have to worry about spacing or worry about tucking in the tail in the next bead. because I want to keep that all nice and separated. So now that I brought those two ends together, I'm going to add my standard crimping tool into the back notch. I want to make sure I'm in the back notch and make sure that my wires are not crossing. And then I'm going to give it a second squeeze in the front notch and give it the tug test. And what I can do is I can just pass these through. Again, this isn't a necessity. A lot of designers will cut the wire at the crimp tube. I never do, just because I feel like it is more centered when it's not trimmed. I don't know if that's just me. I just got in the habit of doing it and I haven't stopped. And I'm going to take away that bead and a spacer bead and going to add that one. I want to keep my bracelet a little turned, just how it would be on my wrist. And I do that so that I don't have a stiff bracelet. Pass that through the wire guardian. Pass this back through the other end of the wire guardian. I'm going to pass it through the crimp tube. And then I'm going to bring it through two of the beads. I try not to go more than two, just because sometimes then it can stiffen up on one end. And give it a little squeeze. Come back around on the side, pull it tight again. And there you go. Give it the little bit of a tug test. It's not going anywhere. That's why I've noticed, and I've seen other jewelry makers that have the inside of their thumbnails are gone, and it's because we're doing tug test. With a pair of chain nose pliers and a second pair of chain nose pliers if you need to. Again, I've seen designers use their fingers. I don't have that strong of fingers. So I'm going to have my jump ring with my two ends and my toggle and give that a nice secure closure. You can see there. On this side, I don't want them crossing, so I'm going to go like that there. I'm going to add my large ring to the two here. So we're going to have this one, and then we'll have this one. We're going to give it a close, and then you can hear them lock in place. That's a good jump ring. Then we're going to take these two jump rings and add them to this end so that the bar can easily run through. You can hear them lock in place. And we're going to open. We're going to add this third jump ring. If you have smaller beads on one end or on the ends, then it does not matter. I do this so that I can be sure to pass through my bar through the end here. Because if you have big beads that won't go through, then you're going to have a hard time. And then it just lays nicely. And there you have, there you have our multi-strand bracelet using a couple of the bead strand, or one of the bead strands, and the free Spirit bead mix from the Modern Bohemian Magical Mystery Bead Box from Jesse James Beads for the month of May.